Hey, back with another check-in on the last argument of Kings, the third in the First Law trilogy, where we've come to somewhat of an inevitable thing, but actually I have to say Joe Abercrombie pulled it off really well, because it was only as it was just suddenly rushing up to it that I went, oh God. Now, what I'm referring to, all spoilers ahead, is that the Union, the big power, but kind of sandwiched between kind of barbarous Northmen and a very organized and complex and perhaps far more numerous and powerful of an empire, the Gurkish, is this Union, kind of the Europe, the Romans, kind of that kind of area, the middle power. Um, and their king was tottering near death. They lost both of the royal heirs, and in this section, uh, Giselle, with Byers, has made a great triumph, and now he gets to have his kind of little parade, which he's going to get, congratulate. He's going to get awarded by the basically vegetable state king that is just hanging on to life. And indeed, as he rears his pony majestically, deciding to put aside Logan Ninefingers' advice to be humble and try to appear less than you are, kind of giving in to Baylor's, the first of the Magi's encouragement to kind of enjoy yourself, young thing. Rears his horse in triumph, and at that moment the king drops dead, and then the major power machinations go go forward. We don't get to see all of them. We get to see most of it through Glockdor, his various maneuverings. He actually boldly suggests in front of his lectors, like, look, we don't have the votes. Your arch rival doesn't have the votes. However, if you two get together, you could actually sway the vote, and you both actually have the same interest in mind. Here is that you just want to put another weak tool at the at the head of the government as a king, someone that basically the small council can control yet again. Basically, another twerp, vegetable. I mean, in the case of the king, you know. And indeed, he goes to him and he does this, and it's like, we need to find someone who is a kind of a neutral third thing, and if such a candidate can be kind of found, that will, they will indeed unite together. So perhaps they can do this. And I'm vaguely thinking, as this is like, well, could this be Giselle? But like, I don't think he's neutral enough. I don't think he's actually particularly the thing. And indeed, it is not the Archlector Salt or his rival who come up with a third candidate. They have the big thing together. Everyone's there. Giselle's pressed up against the thing. Pharaoh is in the upper thing watching these stupid pinks, fight, voting for a king. Whoever heard of that? Indeed, their Archlector's rival is actually, wants to actually have no king, wants to have a kind of council that's elected, kind of by the people. It's some kind of representative democracy. Probably not, more like landowners, not like, let's not get crazy, or we're not going to go give the peasants the vote. But and so they're start the thing, at which point the first of the Magi steps up and says, wait a minute, maybe the king's dynasty isn't over yet. It's like, what? How about a royal bastard? Huh? And guess who the royal bastard is? The royal bastard is Giselle. And apparently Baylor's been busy because suddenly there's people voting for him, at which point it becomes overwhelming, at which point everybody else afraid they're going to get kind of held out in the cold, also votes for him, and Giselle is now freaking kill next High King of the Union. It's like, oh God. And indeed he is kind of, and suddenly people go, well, actually he's, and the Archlector turns to Glocktor and says, like, what do you know of this guy? It's like, well, before he went off on the thing, I would have said he was just kind of a pompous, empty-headed dolt. It's like, oh, good enough. But, and it's like, because he's going to add that, like, he's slightly changed since then. Slightly. Not like major, not completely, but he's changed. And they throw their support behind him. Their rivals throw their support behind him. The only ones who are really pissed is the one guy who was kind of really thought he had it and thing, and he storms out with just a couple of guys, but like, that. And basically Baylor has now taken control. He is like, he's guiding Giselle around. Though interestingly, at the first meeting, he actually Giselle starts going, hey, maybe we should do taxation based on income, at which point all the old men look at him and like, no, you're a moron. We're not doing that, which is actually got, obviously that's what we're theoretically supposed to be doing now. And, works out pretty well, but that's not what these moneyed men whose interests are in not, it goes against all their interests of the status quo, and they just ignore him. And he just basically gets, every time he talks, they kind of condescend to him. They give him withering kind of looks of being a moron, and he gets drunker and drunker until finally they go, oh yes, and we actually also need to come up with a new head of the army, a new person in the chair, basically the head of the military, because the Lord Admiral General Burr has died, which I'll get to in the west part of the story, Furious West part of the story. And at which point, Giselle perks up and says, West? That's who I want as my new Lord High General. And they're like, and the guy who's kind of leading the meeting's like, oh, sir, you cannot do. At which point, Giselle, freaking all the resentment, all the kind of the anger of all this boils up, and he said, and screams at the guy, throws. I think it's something at his thing at his head, whacks him in the head, knocks the guy down. He's bleeding. Screams at the rest of the council and says, you fucking assholes aren't going to tell me what to do. I rule here, not you. I could have dragged out in chains. And at which point Baylor says, yes, oh, that was a good meeting. You fellows are dismissed. And Giselle tries to lose his temper with Baylor, but Baylor gives him that fiery, fucking scary, first of the Magi look of, I can make your whole body dissolve, explode in blood, and Giselle has seen him do this. And it's like, no. And it's like, but this actually might be a kind of a good thing, because, so that's where we leave Giselle at the end of this section. But this might be a good thing, because let's go back to Nine Fingers with the Hillman guy and the Dogman. And yeah, the Hillman leads them up to the great fortress, which they're going to use as their stand to battle off thing and hold them until the thing. And it's like, it's a fortress, and it's basically some tumbled down rocks. It is nothing. It is something you could step over, and they are supremely pissed because you said there was a fortress. Like, we're not going to be able to fucking stand for any amount of time. If the Union guys aren't right on their asses, we are fucking dead. And it's like, oh no, saw it. The moon told me. And he's got this reputation of being mad, and maybe he is mad because it's like, yep, got no choice, so you might as well relax. And there's a scene of him talking to his children about, like, I'm the bloodiest murderer out here, but there's one more fucking murderer, scary asshole guy than me. And who's that? And it's like, he points at Logan Ninefinger and says, him, that bastard there, he's the one. And the little girl who's just like as fierce and spiteful as her old man's like, what, him? Ain't nothing to look at. It's like, yep. And that's the thing that makes it all the scarier when it comes out of him. He's the one. He's like, say nothing, don't say much, don't do much until it's time, and you suddenly strikes and you're fucking dead. And it's shocking. And it's like, yeah. But so they're digging in there, but it's all on the thing of, okay, but the Union's going to have to be right behind Bethod, the Northern King who is coming down to kill them all. And these Northern guys are basically the ones who couldn't stomach Bethod for one reasons or another. And and more of Logan kind of really going, fuck, why am I here? Because I'm back here in this, and now I suddenly remember exactly how many of these people I have alienated, enraged, who want to murder me because I was Logan Ninefinger, Logan the Nine, the gibbering berserker killer psycho beast amongst these people, and I've killed so many of them. It's like it's without number. So, but we're waiting for the Union. Unfortunately, on the Union troops that are there with Lord Commander Burr, it's like Lord Commander Burr is about to give, basically the commands to, we're going to execute. We have to execute this in perfect thing. We have to make sure that these two asshole generals who are both jousting to become the next Lord High Commander when I die don't drag their feet in hopes of sabotaging each other and then thus killing us all. And it's like, okay, good. Go off. Next morning, West comes to wake up the Lord High General, and he is dead. And immediately after they've carted the general's body away, the two Warren generals are like, oh, well, we can't do anything until they declare a new Lord High General. And it's like West is like looking this. It's like, oh God, this is just like when the Crown Prince put us on an ill-advised charge against Bethod's troops and got them all fucking killed except for him and the High Prince, and then he ended up murdering the fucking High Prince for trying to rape a girl, and he did that in cold blood. That was actually an interesting thing. Like, that was an action that it wasn't him in a berserker, in a kind of rage. It's like, no, he did that stone cold, in his right mind. Complete responsibility for that, if you would excuse it, and when it like him seeing red and doing that. So they think, and you think, oh, he's fucked. But then we get the thing with Giselle, and it's like, oh, maybe now West is going to be in command of the whole thing. So if they can get that notification back to him in time, and he can somehow wrestle the control from those two generals who will be enraged by this news and will probably be petulant and stuff like that, he might be able to actually get up there before Bethod has killed all the fucking Northern men. Though, god damn, he's probably going to have killed most of them because they don't have great fortifications. So whether it will come in time to help, who knows? Now, the only other thing I would say, okay, there's the scene of an ill-advised asshole trying to kill Gloktar, the Inquisitor. Or did I say about that last time in the meet at the pig farm? And basically they try and kill him, but he has his guys there ready to kill him, and they feed him to the thing. And actually that is the arch rival who he then goes to the head arch rival guy to talk about it. And he actually has, fairly kind of semi-noble, kind of interestingly kind of progressive views of like wanting to kind of slowly evolve this from a monarchy to more democratic kind of a rule. But still uses the same kind of vicious methods, or at least his clerk did, and you have to assume that he's, at least semi-culpable of that. But he also gets another message about, because who shows up but the woman he spared the last time, who was the traitor in that northern city, and whom he released, and she suddenly appears again, or rather, he gets kidnapped by some heavies who take him to her, and he thinks, oh, great, I'm completely dead. But she actually has she's got some messages for him, and one of the messages is that the Gurkish indeed have got a gigantic navy that they've built in secret, and it's coming, and they're going to kill. They're going to invade the Union. They're going to invade the heart of the Union with this giant, unexpected navy of theirs, which is dwarfs, according to her, dwarfs the Union's one, which, you know, they were sort of, they controlled the seas. Very much kind of Roman England sort of thing there. So there's that. So Gazelle might have this now be the king of a great kingdom, but as Glocknar thinks, it's like, yeah, and once we've solved all this, we may get invaded by the Gurkish and be all butchered as well. So that's all the setup that's happened so far. I think we're about this is, as I said, we're at chapter 18, and I think it goes to 60. So we're about almost a quarter of the way in. This is the opening salvo, and it's just so nicely filled, so eventful, so high fantasy like burble. We're clipping. This is like breakneck pace for a fantasy novel. No, this could have been 16 fucking novels. Instead, it's 3. I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled to be in Joe Abercrombie's concise hands. This is super concise, like, you know, sharp, focused hands. Just great, great stuff. I'm not a teenager who has, you know, 47,000 hours to be able to do this. So I really appreciate having someone who is a storyteller who is not wanting to eat up all my time. It's great. All right. I will leave it there with The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. More videos later.